Initially, I have to say I was intimidated, although I'm very stubborn too. So ultimately, my stubborn side of my personality overcame the intimidation. You know, you see these videos on YouTube and on the internet and the CrossFit games, and I thought, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to do this? What brought us to CrossFit in general were health concerns on both my part and my husband Ray's. I guess it actually started with a young lady in our group who had done CrossFit and changed the way that she ate, and she looked great. I happened to see her after not seeing her for a couple of months, and decided to give a new way of eating and CrossFit a chance to change our lives. And so for me, my health concerns are that I am headed towards 2 knee replacements. I'm bone on bone, and I knew that the best outcome I can have for knee replacement surgery is to strengthen my quads and my glutes and my hamstrings, and also to take off weight. That for every pound that I lost, I take off 3 to 4 pounds of pressure on my joints.
I was brought to CrossFit largely because my wife told me we were coming, but more so than that, in all seriousness, you know, I had gained some weight over the years. You know, I'd done basketball in high school and track in college, but my weight had crept up. And over years, you get to the point where you're raising kids and things take a back seat. Your own health takes a back seat. And my weight had gone up, and I'd been to the doctor recently, and my blood values weren't horrible, but they weren't great. They were creeping in the wrong direction, and I knew there was something we had to do. I had to drop a few pounds and just get in better shape. We've done some exercising at the Y in a very, it's kind of a lackluster way. I mean, if you're reading a magazine and exercising at the same time, I don't think you're getting much value out of it, and that's what we were doing. So we wanted something that we could do together. And Melanie had seen some definite results from the one young lady that she worked with, so we thought we would at least give it a try.
What made it easy for us were the wonderful trainers here at CrossFit and the entire CrossFit community. Everybody was so encouraging to us, even though we're, you know, a lot older. I'm 56. At my age, it's very hard to lose weight and gain muscle. In fact, the opposite happens. It's very easy to gain weight and lose muscle. And through CrossFit and coming here on a regular basis and changing the way that we eat, or changing our diet, been able to achieve this. But you know, initially it was intimidating, and it was several months, quite honestly, until I didn't feel intimidated anymore. But again, it was the wonderful trainers who scale things appropriately, so that I still get a very, very good workout, but I always feel safe, and I'm very grateful to them for that.
When we first came here, frankly, it was, as Melanie, I think it said, was a little intimidating, because you walk in a room, people are exercising very vigorously, and frankly, it had been upwards of 30 years since we exercised to exhaustion, and these workouts really are exercising to exhaustion. And one thing that we noticed right away is we were about twice as old as the average person in the room, and that can be a little intimidating, but the fact that all the exercises are scaled, both in terms of the amount of weight and the number of reps and the duration, really helped us a lot. And we were exercising just as hard as anybody else. We got to that exhaustion point faster because of our age and the fact that we really hadn't done a lot of vigorous exercise in a number of years. One thing that did help was a number of one-on-one sessions we did with the trainers, with Josh and Chris, and that helped us get used to the kind of exercising we're going to be doing, get us back in a mindset of doing a lot of exercising, but also getting used to a lot of the techniques, learning to do Olympic lifts, which I had never really done before, and that's learning how to properly use a rowing machine. And those one-on-one sessions helped us a lot and really prepared us to be part of a class, and it made our integration into the class setting much, much easier.
So the changes that I've seen are several, quite frankly. Almost from the beginning, I started to feel a lot better. Once I got over the workout, I was sore, but it was a good kind of sore. It wasn't a I hurt myself kind of sore, but really that I gave my body a good, appropriate workout. We also changed it, as I believe I mentioned before, the way that we ate, essentially dropping grains from our diet, heavy emphasis on protein, vegetables, and some fruits, getting our carbs through sweet potatoes and other vegetables, and we drink milk. So we do have dairy in there.
The biggest change for me is a fairly obvious one. I was diagnosed with sleep apnea right before we started doing CrossFit and changing our diet, as Melanie talked about. And I was given a choice. I could wear a CPAP, which I couldn't do, or they would do some kind of mold for my mouth to help me breathe, or I could lose 54 pounds. So I've got 47 pounds down and 7 to go, and that's created just a different way that I move and an ability to get things done. I've had to do some travel for work lately. I'm moving around the airport much more easily, carrying luggage, getting up and down stairs. I just feel more mobile, and I'm more flexible, I think. What was going on at the time was my blood values had started to creep up. The glucose was getting high, not to the point where I had diabetes, but I guess you would call it pre-diabetic. My cholesterol numbers were going up. My good cholesterol was not where it should be. So I had blood work done about 5 months before we started CrossFit, before we changed our diet, and then had it done this past December, about 6 months after we started. The good cholesterol had gone up, the glucose went down, the bad cholesterol went down. Everything's getting into shape. I'm going to repeat it again in 6 months, and I'm expecting to see further improvement, because some of these numbers just don't move without exercise. You can do all the dieting you want, but you have to exercise, get out and move around, and I know the kind of exercising we do here really does change your metabolism.
Since last June, when we started CrossFit and changed the way that we ate, I've lost 20 to 25 pounds, and I've definitely gotten a lot stronger. I noticed that my knees don't hurt nearly as much during my exercising as when I'm sitting at my desk for long periods of time and they get really stiff. I'm able to do simple tasks around the house better.
I think I've improved a lot in the classes themselves. Obviously, I'm not going to do what someone half my age or what I used to do 30 years ago can do, but for me, I've noticed improvement in almost all the activities that I've done here at CrossFit since starting out. So I see a gradual improvement. I think that'll continue. I don't know if I'll ever do an open or something like that, but I'm lifting more weight. I'm lifting it, more times. I'm just doing better with my burpees, which are one of the things I enjoy the least. But all those things are improving over time.
Well, we're planning a trip to Alaska for our 30th wedding anniversary, and we plan to go on excursions. We didn't want to just stay in the boat. We wanted to be able to do things and be active. And so one of the excursions we're planning is to do sea kayaking in one of the bays to take, into sight and be, closer to the wildlife. Thought about trying CrossFit or perhaps interested is do give it a try. I'm not going to say don't be intimidated, because initially I was, but just push through that intimidation because it's really worth it. You'll feel so much better. And I would say what's been helpful is that Ray and I have done this together. It's always easier to come with a workout buddy. And for me, Ray and I were equally out of shape. We were both overweight. And we did this together, so we were in it together, and that was very helpful. If you don't have a workout buddy, don't let that stop you, because the CrossFit community is extremely supportive, and I can't stress that enough. I know other people who have thought of trying out CrossFit were concerned that they'd come in last, and what I would say about that is that's not even a consideration, because first of all, if you're scaled appropriately, you'll come in with everybody else, and even if you do come in last, and I certainly have come in last, nobody's focused on that. They're focused on their own workout and then encouraging you to the best of your ability to complete the workout successfully.
If I had to give someone advice, or whether it's someone who hasn't exercised in a while or someone of our age, it is to take the plunge. Like I said before, we did do a lot of one-on-one sessions, and that helped quite a bit. But the community, I know Melanie talked about the CrossFit Apex community before, everybody was very helpful, and I think given the fact that, let's face it, we are amongst the older people here, I don't want to say we were adopted as pets or anything, but people did take an interest in us because we were so much older than everybody else. And more than a few people have said, I've tried to get my parents, and somebody said, I've tried to get my grandparents. I didn't feel too good about that. But they wanted their parents to do it and wouldn't try it. And being very encouraging to us, because we had tried something different, something that was outside of our comfort zone. I remember the first WOD I finished legitimately in time. There was some running, and one of the fellas, I don't even know his name to this day, ran the last 200 meters with me just to encourage me, and I made it in by 4 seconds under the time cap. Little things like that really make a difference. So even if it is something you're only contemplating doing, and you think it might not be for you, you should try it anyway, because the community is so helpful, and there are people there to help you at all times, not just the instructors. And
I would just add to that to give it a fair try, give a trial of, I would say, 4 to 6 weeks, because it is very different. You will be sore. You will have muscles. You will have muscles be sore, and you were in places where you never thought you had muscles. But it's all worth it, and just give it a fair trial of, I would say, at least 4 to 6 weeks.